Welcome, everybody. Today, we are joined by Meir, who has just had some massive wins from the paid school group, the Shipping Society. So, welcome, Meir. Maybe you can just start by telling us a bit about your story and yourself, and then I'll roll into a couple of questions.
Yeah. Thank you, Jordan, for having me. It's been a great time being a part of the Shipping Society. And yeah, I've had some massive wins lately. Um, but honestly, this wasn't my first business that I started. I'm sure that as many people, I tried a bunch of things before in the past. I tried various different business models. And yeah, a little bit more about me. I'm 26 and um, I'm from the US, and all my life I've wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've wanted to work for myself. I've wanted to have financial freedom. And yeah, I kind of just struggled with actually implementing a plan. I've always
Mhm.
felt that I was an over analyzer. Like I made these grand plans and I had all this strategy, but I never actually took any action. And recently with the business that I've been working on the past couple of months, I just put my seat in this chair and I work my butt off every day. And now I have my first clients and it's been massive. It's finally real now.
Yes. So I was super stoked to hear that you closed some deals last week and you collected the cash. And I know it's always different when people say yes versus when the money actually lands in the account. So tell us, before we roll into what you were doing before and some of those business models, tell us about the win that you've just experienced and what that felt like, and some of the details around that.
Yeah. So this past week I've collected 7K in cash um, from three separate deals, but two main ones that are bigger. And I have a few other deals in my pipeline currently that are also in various stages.
Uh-huh.
And the business model that I'm running right now is I am doing outreach on behalf of my clients, and I'm setting up a podcast for them to invite their target clients to. Um, and so I do two things. I find them, new clients, and I create um, authority building content for them to
Uh-huh.
build their brand, build their thought leadership. And it's a strategy that I found through your school group, and it's been massively successful for me. So over the past 45 days, I've recorded 20 podcasts. I've gotten real business owners to come on a podcast and have a conversation with me and start a relationship, which has led to these first deals. And so I run the same playbook now for my clients, and um, they're bought in to the idea and they're paying for it. So it's really been validated, and it's really amazing.
Yeah. So the same outreach method that you've used to acquire your first two or three, it sounds like, clients and collect that $7,000 in cash, you are now using to deliver results to those clients. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it makes it simpler to just run the exact same playbook. I don't need to overcomplicate things. I mean, the way I'm seeing it is that I'm trying not to get distracted by shiny objects. I'm trying to just run what I know works right now, and figure out how to do it better and better.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, it's pretty great to just be focused on the simplicity of it. It's not overly complicated.
Yeah, for sure. And so you mentioned you collected $7,000 last week. What's the deal size in total? Like, what's the contract length, and like how much is that? Are those deals worth? So you collect cash in the bank, 7 grand, massive win. But also, that's not the end of it, right? There is, what is it, a 3 month agreement, 6 month? What does that look like?
Yeah. So I have made three deals up until now. One of the clients, I've basically done a trial run where we've recorded two podcasts with his ideal clients. And so he's already gotten two new prospects into his pipeline, already taking discovery calls and transitioning into his sales process.
Nice.
And so he's using that example to go to a partner company that holds a lot more budget to basically show them, hey, like our outreach hasn't been working. We haven't been getting any pipeline. Let's do this. It's working. And
Mhm.
so that was just a 1K payment just for those two podcasts, which is pretty lucrative to be getting paid that much for creating one meeting or two meetings. And then the other deals are semi-performance based. So one of them, I'll get paid 9K base for creating 20 podcasts and an
Mhm.
extra 500 per each demo that occurs from that podcast.
Mhm.
And then I have my third deal, which this one is the most lucrative, um, is basically 6K for just 5 podcasts. And it's because they
Wow.
target Fortune 1000 companies. And so
Like,
for them, they were used to paying $2,000 for a qualified meeting with a decision maker at a Fortune 1000 company. So I came significantly below, and I'm adding the brand recognition of creating this thought leadership content, which was the gap, was the pain point that they came to me to, because they have
mm,
this massive credibility, but they just can't seem to be rising above the noise because everybody is targeting the same companies as them. And so in this specific niche of creating outreach in this way, I think I've answered a massive pain point for these very lucrative companies. And
yeah.
it's very profitable, because I can't imagine, as soon as I activate them and they start getting deals into their pipeline, if this works where other outreach methods haven't, there's no reason we won't continue, because it is a bargain for them even at that price.
Yeah, you'll find that the lifetime value is incredibly high, and the podcast method works incredibly well. And some of these deals may turn out to be very, very lucrative for you if that's the case. Okay, so that's awesome. That's like current state. Take me back to how you found the shipping society and what made you decide to join the group and take the leap of faith. And yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, I think many of us kind of arrived in your sphere around the same time that the Alex Hermosi launched his Money Models book. And
Yeah.
so you made this video that appealed to me because I was sitting on the fence. So whether to fork over $6,000 to Alex Hermosi.
Hmm.
Um, and I did a lot of deliberating, and it was massively painful to be in that state where he forced us to decide. And I understood that I need to invest in myself. I need to get some form of outside help to allow me to break past these barriers that I've had in business up until now, where maybe I've tried to do things on my own, or I've tried to figure it out myself. And then I remember you showcasing how you're building this school group using the same methods that you're learning from the AI. And maybe it was this shiny object, but I could see your authenticity when it came to how you did things, and how you spoke, and that you've actually got the credibility.
Hmm.
um and I admit that there was some hesitation, like I had some doubts when it comes to just forking over more money, because it was at a time that I had quit my job. And so I wasn't making any more income, and I was running on limited savings that I knew sooner or later would run out if I didn't make any cash from this business. But I decided to value speed of just being able to get more knowledge. And then also seeing that you had this no sweat guarantee kind of just allowed me to just try it.
Hmm.
And for me, once I actually got into the group, what has been the most helpful is the group calls, where every single week I show up with my specific struggle that week. And in 5 or 10 minutes back and forth with you just help me see how to solve that. And so week after week, I've been able to break past barriers. Um, and most importantly, the group has helped me in this way that I've been shown an example of a next the next level of work ethic when it comes um, to doing what's required. A lot of times I've felt like I just need to just do enough for what I think I'm capable of, but I've consistently pushed myself to do what's required when it comes to um, showing up on my own calls, doing all the editing of my own podcasts, answering all these replies, doing everything myself, working from morning till evening nonstop, including weekends, which is not sustainable long term. It's not what I want to do, but it's what I needed to do to actually be able to make a real business. Um, and you've been instrumental to that, to being able to actually figure out what to do instead of just, wandering down paths that don't actually work.
So, I mean, yeah, I really appreciate that, and I've even enjoyed our calls because like I remember being in your shoes, and I remember what it's like to go through all of the muck and getting all these weird objections and dealing with all these limiting beliefs and things. And so it's like a really it's a strange, like full circle moment for me where I'm able to see somebody that's really competent, that has what it takes, that's intelligent enough, but is also decided to just be a good student and ask the questions. And like I said at the beginning of this, before we started recording, I'm just grateful that there's somebody like yourself who just goes, "Hey, is this what I should be doing?" And then I say, "No, you should be doing this," and then you actually go and do it. And lo and behold, you get the results. And so, it's not a magic trick or anything like that. And I am not Alex Hormozy or some sort of god and just a couple of chapters ahead. And I was in the same position as you were a couple of years back, asking the same questions to somebody else. And so it's really beautiful, this full circle thing. And 6 months from now, you may be teaching other people, and it just never stops. And you just keep paying it on forward and forward. So yeah, that's really awesome to hear. Yeah. So okay, when you first joined, what was like the biggest thing that you learned that made you say, okay, this makes sense, this was worth it?
Yeah, honestly, again, I think it just came down to you nailing it again and again, how important it is to just take action. My
Yeah.
biggest hurdle was that, and it still sometimes is, it's something that I'm working past. I think the game of business is the reason why I love it is because it helps me, and I think a lot of people can resonate with this. It helps you become a different person.
Yeah.
So what I used to feel a lot of times in my life was that I just had this ideal version in my head, but it was separate from how I actually behaved in my day-to-day life. And
Mm.
so I there was no way that I was ever going to live my dream life without actually taking action on it. And so the biggest thing that I learned was that belief shift of the only thing that matters is take action. And it didn't matter that I heard it for years from Alex Ramosi. It was just everything came together where enough was enough for me. I was willing to bet on myself, and I actually found the strategy that worked. And yeah, it all came together. I think just the consistency, again, seeing you posting every single day. And I remember, mentioning that to you, that you were helping us just by, by leading that example, to where a lot of times I did want to give up. I did want to lay off the work or take a break. Um, and there is a place for balance, but just understanding that the most important thing is actually doing the work. Like everything else doesn't matter if you have like the best strategy and the best AI tools, and everything is set up for you. If you're not actually going to sit down and do the work and be willing to make mistakes and do things wrong so that you can learn how to do them right, nothing else will help. And so that's the one thing that changed, the one thing that I learned that made everything else work.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess that was the that was the catalyst for the creation of the Shipping Society. It was, I had wanted to create content for so long, and I'd been making it slowly, but it was such a painful, difficult process. And then, the TLDR of the story is that I made the video that you saw that brought you in the group and, almost 5,000 other people. And it was basically because a friend of mine who was a YouTuber just told me, stop being a bitch and turn on the camera and just talk to the camera. And don't worry if you don't get it right, just take action. And usually I'm like, no, it needs to be perfect, blah, blah, blah. But for some reason, I took action and I shipped it. And since then, uh, applying that to not just content, but everything else has been game changing. So it's pretty crazy to hear that that has also inspired and impacted yourself. And I've heard the same thing from a bunch of people in the shipping society. And that's why it's called the shipping society, even though everyone thinks it's a drop shipping group, which, maybe in hindsight, I could have figured out a better name, but it was really just like, just ship the thing and forget about it and move on to the next thing and just do the work. So I'm glad that that resonates and that's something that you noticed and has changed and impacted your life as soon as you joined. So other than that, Mia, what do you think has been the easiest and the hardest part about this whole process? And yeah, let's start there.
The easiest and the hardest part about
Like
starting a business?
starting a business because you quit your job, right? Did you quit your job to start something like this, and then you found me in the shipping society, or did you find the shipping society and then quit your job to start this thing that I was teaching?
Yeah, so I was in sales. So I had started a couple of my own businesses, and I'd recognized the key skill gap that I was missing was sales. So I went back to become an appointment setter and then a closer.
Mhm.
Um, and then another friend of mine just woke me up to the reality that we're facing of AI and the fact that I, if I had stayed in that line of work, I would get replaced sooner or later by AI. AI is getting
Mhm.
better every single day. And so what I understood is that if I could replicate what I did, where I was booking, I was the top setter, and then I also was successful as a closer. But I knew that there's only so much I can do on the phone, one on one. And I recognized the value of what I was doing for the company I was working for. I was bringing them hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue from the deals. Um,
Mhm.
but I wasn't getting paid that much. And there was a cap to how much I could actually be successful. I remember putting months of the same amount of work consistently, trying to put my all into it and hitting this cap of income and just being frustrated with that. Like that's not actually going to get me to my goals of financial freedom. And
Mhm.
so when I woke up to the reality of AI, I joined, I started searching on YouTube for different ways to leverage AI. I started, chatting with Chat GPT every day on figuring out different business models that I could use to set appointments for others. And I remember when I joined the group, my thesis was to be charging. My ICP was way different than what it is now, and what I thought of charging for an appointment for them was $150 for an appointment. And so the first thing that you kind of shifted for me on, I remember like on one of those first calls was why not charge more? Why not charge a retainer based model? And here I am getting paid right now 1,200 for a podcast. So that's nearly 10x where I started a couple of months ago with thinking of what I would charge for this. Um, and so that's that's been massive for me. I think the hard part is consistently um, facing this void of knowing that my business is a reflection of me, and knowing
Mm.
that where it's lacking and where it's slowing down is because I'm not skilled enough to build a business that is successful in that way. And it's very humbling, and it's a lot of times very difficult to deal with all the fear and the doubt, and just fear of failure. Um, and to be fully honest and transparent, I think one of the biggest things that, from a mindset perspective, I recognized in myself is that this fear, what it did was it stopped me from actually taking action because I was afraid that if I actually tried, I would confirm this doubt that I wasn't good enough to actually
Mm.
the business of my dreams, create the life that I wanted. And so I just confirmed that reality by not even trying. And understanding that was kind of the first step. And it's consistent. So even at this stage right now, there's always the next level of that. But just knowing that I have evidence that I can break past these barriers. Given enough effort and help, and the right strategy, I don't see why I can't continue. And that's the biggest unlock.
It's so self-aware and so profound the realization that you've had, and the things like that took me years and years to figure out. So you're in a fantastic spot if these are things that you've taken accountability for and already recognized. What did you say? 45 days in? Is that right?
I started the middle of August just figuring out what business I wanted to start. So it's been 4 months, but
Okay.
actually launching my podcast, it's been close to 2 months.
Okay. Yeah. But very impressive. Very impressive, Mia. I can see a very lucrative, profitable future for you. Um, now that people have paid and that you do have some success, obviously it's not going to change overnight, but it is a massive win that you can start to draw from in your next calls, and it really does snowball, like I said. How do you think it's changed your mindset or your confidence, as you've gone into sales calls and you look 12 months in the future and you think this actually is maybe a business that I can crush it at and I can reach that, 30K, 50K, 100K a month.
Yeah.
How has this, like, first couple clients being closed, money in the bank, how has that changed your confidence thinking about that future?
Yeah. The first thing that happened to me was I had like this moment with myself where I it meant a lot to me where I just knew that my dreams are possible. And so
Mhm.
if I make this lofty goal, everybody wants to say they want to be a millionaire, but it's really easy to say and it's really difficult to actually have evidence that you're on the path to getting there.
Yeah.
Um, and so it kind of showed me that I don't need to change anything. Likely, if this is already validated and I can actually deliver the results for these first clients, there's no reason why I can't find more like them. To answer your question, like how it helps me on sales calls, I've had a couple of sales calls where I mean I've pitched the business, but I've been totally fine with them, giving me objections and not actually doing it
Mm.
because I don't need to work with everyone. I don't need to convince those who have too many things that are blocking their path from seeing the value of a model that has created 20 qualified meetings for somebody with no reputation in nearly under 2 months, be
Mm.
able to do the same for them. Um, and so it's allowed me to have just more freedom to choose exactly who I want to work with. Um, and show up from that position of strength. That's been a big deal for me in terms of just like my confidence. But then, yeah, I recognize that the only difference between where I'm at right now and and getting to those goals is just a couple of other things where it comes to, building systems to do this consistently and hire good people to deliver good results. And if I just can do those two things, there's no reason I shouldn't hit 100K per month. And it may take some time, and I don't want to put necessarily a time frame where I have to achieve that by this certain period. But again, one of those things that has been helpful for me is just like thinking, well, if I just continue playing this game long enough, I don't see why I shouldn't be able to reach that. If it just That's something I think Alex Hormozy helped me with a lot, is kind of lowering the stakes a little bit for, just understand that the whole entire point of this game is just to stay in it and that it's not going to matter anyway. So I don't need to, you know, have it
Yeah.
all done by, age 30 or whatever thing I build up in my mind. It's just a process. And again, it's about what it's helping me become. So that's just been massive to see the difference in who I am now is not the same person I was 4 months ago. Not at all.
What do you think the person who you will become a year from now will be? Think about that version of you. It's it's an inspiring thought. You're very, very right. I remember having this, like, peace wash over me as I had the same realization that the only way that I lose is if I stop or I switch things, because I know that I'm competent enough to figure it out. There's enough resources that exist online, and I can pay, beg, borrow, steal my way to information and mentorship and stuff. So much so that if I just don't stop, I will be successful. And it's this you have this wave of relief where all this pressure is gone, and it's just like, okay, maybe I don't do it in 3 months and I don't get to $1 bajillion a month. Maybe I don't make $117 million in 72 hours, but if I just don't stop, I will reach my goals eventually. And if I reach my goals in 10 years, would it be worth it? Yeah. If I reach them in 5, would it be better? Yes. But I would take 10 years to reach them, sure. And I watched a clip of Hormozy talk about this the other day. Some guys at $2 million ARR, and he wants to get to $100 million in 12 months. And Hormozy's like, whoa, whoa. You see the same clip? And he goes, so the thing that threw me is the, wanting to 100, almost 100x, 50x. And I respect big lofty goals, but also would you still do it if it took you 10 years? And he's like, yeah. And it's like, okay, so then, you just got to do the work. But yeah, that's a fantastic insight. So I guess, all right, wrapping up then, like, if somebody's watching this and maybe they're thinking either they have no business and they're looking to start a business, which is how you came into the shipping society, right? You were like, you tried a couple things before, nothing really stuck. You didn't really know where to begin. You wanted some sort of proximity access to some of the Hormozy stuff, and I put out that piece of content, brought you in. You made the decision to join. If somebody is in a similar boat and they're on the fence about joining and coming into the shipping society, what would you tell them about this group in your experience?
Well, the first thing that I would tell them is what I needed to hear. The reason that I ultimately made the decision to join is because if you are in a position where you don't know what to do, it's a lot easier to listen to people who've been there and done that and can just tell you what to do instead of trying to figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
That's the mistake that I've made in the past. And that's why my other businesses never actually led to anything. It's because I tried to think, oh, I know best. I can figure this out. I'm smart enough.
Yeah.
And to be uh, humble, to just put yourself in a room or in an environment where you can learn from others will help you go so much faster. It's worth the investment. And even if you don't get everything that you need from one place, just getting one nugget can have a massive, massive return. So in this business that I've started, I haven't gotten everything that I've learned from you, but it's helped me bridge that gap to reach the next step. And it's taken me from where I was a couple months ago to where I am now. And I'm sure there's going to be more things that I'll need to learn on this path.
Okay.
But just getting yourself in a place where you're being held accountable, you're seeing an example of other people's work that they're putting in. That's what I would recommend anybody who's in that position, because any strategy that you'll pick will work. You just need the commitment to actually follow through on it and actually take action. Again, that's been the massive unlock for me, is actually just taking the action that is required to make anything work. So that's what, I think if you just do that, if you just put yourself in an environment where you see that standard and it becomes just the standard for yourself, that makes the whole entire difference.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I hear you saying is like, it's not just purely information, because a lot of the things that you're using in your business, you didn't learn from me or Shipping Society. There are some things, some technical things like the podcast and the setup and the email and stuff like that, which obviously you have learned and applied, but it's mainly about the accountability and the push to take action and being able to speak to somebody who's been where you are and ask them very specific questions about what should I expect and what should I do in this scenario, and then being able to save hundreds of hours of time and thousands of dollars of pain and idiot tax, which I have certainly paid in the past to get these lessons. You don't need to pay that. Would that be right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And it's honestly the thing that I respect about Alex Hormozy the most is and like my whole life I have been trying to do things myself as well, because I'm so clever and I'm so special. and I have such a big ego. And I guess it must have been 3, 4 years ago that I decided to pay a lot of money to somebody else and humble myself and be a good student. And it was mostly because of Hormozy is like 1 or 2 years older than me, and the guy is worth so much more money than I am. And he speaks like some kind of 85-year-old seasoned billionaire who's just got an answer to every problem. He'll, uh, you'll say that you share sheep, and he'll be like, this is the exact business model that you should be following, this is the lead generation systems that you need, these are the bottlenecks that you have, right? And it's probably caused by this. And then you're like, yeah, how did you know that? And he's just like, I just know everything about all businesses. And I just don't know how he does it. And it's only because and after digging into his content, is because he finds somebody that's got what he wants and he pays them to teach him, and he just becomes a really good student. And my most successful friend, he does the exact same thing. So I really don't think it's that difficult to get ahead in life. It's just, as a man, oftentimes it's our ego and our pride that gets in the way. But really, if you just pay whatever it takes to acquire the skills and get close to the people who've already got what you want, life and business and goals just happen, and it's not that difficult. So yeah, that's what I hear you saying. And that's, again, it's like a full circle moment, because I was in exact same position a couple of years ago, and I finally took that leap, and I'm just like, oh, what have I been doing my whole life? I'm trying to do it myself. What an idiot. So yeah, look, Mia, I want to wrap things up there. And thank you for coming on and spending 30 plus minutes with us, telling us about how amazing I am. But no, really, I want like a lot of the, like, you've done the work. You're the one that showed up. You're the one that took all the actions. You showed up on all the calls, asked all the right questions, did all the right things, put your ego aside. And so, yeah, just wanted to celebrate you and your massive wins over the last couple of weeks. So congratulations again. Super proud of you. Super excited to see where you get to in the next 6 to 12 months. I know I'll certainly be here. And yeah, thank you for coming on today. And if you have anything else to say, go for it.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
no, just thank you as well, Jordan. I mean, I know that I showed up and I did it, but I appreciate the just the honest guidance that you've been giving away um so graciously, and it's been massively valuable and it's changed my life. So yeah, thank you.
well, thank you. And thank you guys for watching. Yeah, I don't know how to wrap up the case study, but thank you for watching, and join the shipping society, I guess, and we'll see you inside, and you'll be the next case study. All right, thanks, guys. Thanks, Mia.